So, we're getting started with Dylan's PC. So, this is how his PC is. I'll show it to you. Okay, so we've got a Lian O11 dynamic case. Bunch of different fans. These fans are for the radiator. Those fans are just standalone 3 fans, and the 3 fans here. And this is the 6800 XT Sapphire Nitro Plus. And also, he's been overclocking his machine, but we don't see these four pins here. We don't see these 4 pins plugged in, and the fans outside, because the 120mm fan probably didn't fit here because it's not a 120mm slot. There's one fan here. It's an EK water block that looks okay to me. These wires need to be ripped out. Pretty good motherboard. With respect to cable management, I think this comes with Lian itself, so you can just shove all the cables back behind this plate. So, first thing we're going to do is rip out everything, give it a nice clean, and then I think the first thing that we'll remove is probably the CPU MOSFETs, and then CPU heat sinks here, and then put the water block in, and then we're talking. Yeah, I'll see you in the next video. Okay, so I took a closer look. I can see that the graphic card screw is not here. There's only one here, which is probably why the graphic card is like hanging in midair. Then one more thing I noticed was there's a PCI slot here that has some kind of card here. I have to open it to see what it is. And the USB 3.0 plug is squished between, I don't know if it's focusing. Yeah, squished between that PCIe device and this plug and the fan. And the fan is kind of screwed in different places. So one is in the front, one is slightly in the back. This one is in the front as well, so that you can see that offset here. So I think there's a fair bit of work to do. Okay, let's see. So the graphic card looks okay. Just took it out, and yeah, the USB 3.1 plug is like 3.0 plug is jammed in. You got to take care of all these plugs, and when the radiator goes here, it's gonna be pretty tight. Okay, so this is the back of the case. I can see that the SSD is just there. It was plugged in. I just unplugged it, and after I removed the cable management backplate, all this was just hanging out. Just unplugged a few things. Okay, there's a little bit of cable ties, and it's a semi-modular PSU, the HX 850. So yeah, fair bit of work to do. Now, as you can see, still removing parts. Lots of fans without all the screws on them. There was no screw here, just these 3 were there. Pretty dusty. I don't know how many of these fans are probably screwed in, but he said everything is in working order, so not to bother. So yeah, all of them, these ones, all the wires behind. So once this is removed, we'll take this out and give it a nice spring clean. and then start off with a custom loop rebuild and give it some nice cleaning. I'm not using a blower here because there's not much to clean because everything is out. Just need to carefully clean out all the bits and pieces. You can see now that I've mounted the SSD and put it inside the cage. Okay, so we're good to go. So we've also cleaned the thermal paste, and we've also taken out all the fans, the graphic card, the controller, all the screws, and we have some stuff ready to go. Okay, let's now unblock our EK Quantum Momentum CPU water block. And box, backplate. That's the thermal pads. There's some thermal paste and some nice little washers. Be sure not to lose these. And some screws. And the big boy himself. Now, gotta remove the MOSFETs before installing these. Alright, so we're installing the thermal pads on the motherboard. So we've got to remove the heatsink off the MOSFETs and also the IO shield from the back, because that covers part of the MOSFET on the left. So there were some screws we had to remove from here and back over here. and the IO shield had an LED plug, so just be careful to remove that without damaging the IO shield. So that's done. So one more round to go for the left hand side for these ones. So it should basically should exactly look like the shape shown. Let's see if the camera can catch it. It just needs to look exactly like, yeah, these ones. Alright, so the left hand side is done too. Now for the slightly tricky bits where we need to use both our hands. Need to put this and place it over here and probably hold the motherboard like that. We'll work it out. Okay, after some really hard work, we've got one rad mounted on the side and the distro plate mounted on the front. Just take note that this case, you can't put a rad on the bottom and a distro plate on the front and expect to vertical mount a GPU because the case is not big enough. Some people have gone the extent of cutting this piece manually and then lifting up their riser and then putting the graphic card. But yeah, we're not going that far with this. We might break the case. And so for the rad, we're going to mount the fans here, and the case still closes. We've checked that. And the second rad will be on the top, and the bottom will be just fans. Alright, we've got an update for our custom loop build again. And so we put in our first pipe. This one on the Lian case, as I said, we weren't able to put a rad on the bottom, so we had to do a side rad, and the first pipe's in. A little awkward double bend there, but yeah, it works. So the next thing should be from here to there. Alright, a little more update. So we've got our second pipe on the side radiator there, and it came on nicely to the front of the distro plate. And we've got the first set of our fans. All of these are Lian SL Infinity fans. So there's gonna be one more radiator there on the top with 3 more fans and a lot more piping work to go. So it's time to do one more round of update. So we've put some pipes from the left of the top radiator to the right, like that, and also we put a drain valve there on the bottom and put a stop plug on it. And now it's time to do a leak test, because we've gone far enough without a leak test. So just connect this anywhere where the loop is open, and I just pumped it up to 0.4 bar. So I pumped it up before starting the video, so it's been there for quite a while now, so it's clearly not leaking. Be sure not to pump it up too much, you might bust something up. So I just went as far as 0.4 and not further. we'll probably go higher up in pressure as we include more parts in the loop. One thing to note that the drain valve, even though it's in closed position, leaks a little bit of air, which is why I actually put that stop plug. It doesn't mean that your loop is leaking, it just means that air is easier to leak than liquid. I did a few tests for this, and I was able to notice that. So that stop plug got rid of that leak. So yeah, so that's how you need to do a leak test without putting in liquid. Okay, so after a little bit more work and more piping and one more day, I've put in more pipes and started leak testing it a little more, and still nothing, which is good news. And CPU is going there, so everything is as straight as it can be. So far so good. I hope whatever leak test results we're seeing here is the same when we fill it up with liquid. Alright, so we're ready to put the GPU in. The vertical mount is gone in, and we're gonna put the GPU in there. So we couldn't use the Lian GPU mount, so we got the Cooler Master universal mount, and still the cable was too rigid, so we used the Lian PCI V4 PCI 4.0 cable, and that was a little more flexible, and we've put it in and it's ready to go. Okay, so all the pipes are done. So the GPU CPU, the top rad, and this side rad. We had to go out and get a few additional parts. So instead of doing double 90-degree bends, we decided to go for offset fittings like this one, and smaller offset fittings like this one too. So depending on the situation, those came in very handy. So I've initiated a leak test now. After a while, we'll start doing some real liquid tests. Right, so we've started filling up the liquid, and it's going pretty well. I couldn't record the first half of it, but here's what I've been doing. So place a few paper towels like everywhere that you can think of a possible leak, basically the joints. Since we've done a lot of leak testing already, I don't think it should be a problem, but still, just in case, let's just keep everything in place. Now remove that port, this one, and fill the bottle with this guy. So our customer has asked us to fill it with translucent liquid on transparent indigo violet. So that's going in, and I've connected a jumper to our power supply. So what happens now is if you switch this thing on like that, from there, I've not connected it yet, but anyway, if you switch it on, the D5 pump here will automatically turn on without any of the connections connected to the motherboard. So remember to remove that one and remove this one. If you've already connected the SATA cables for the fans, and if you're not in a position to remove it, it should be fine because they're all in the back. The whole point is to not let the liquid short circuit any of your components if they get in, if they leak. So if you want to be really extra careful, you can remove these bits. Essentially we only have the SATA cables for so for one for the fans, two for the fans, and three for something from the front, and then for the SSD was coming from the front. Something underneath, I forgot what it is. So anyway, after a few cycles, your loop should start getting fully filled, and then you can stop refilling this distro plate again and again. So, as you can see, I've grown a little bit of beard and I've changed my t-shirt. That means that it's been a few days. And we've got this. So remember, the key is to spend at least a few days or as much as time as you can to get it right. Otherwise, you're just gonna have trouble. So this one, this one has PETG tubes. It has. We tried as much as we could to keep the pipe straight. So there are no awkward bends here, like 180s or double 90s. There is only one double 90 bend inside because we couldn't avoid it, because the Lian O11 dynamic case can't take a bottom rad and a vertical GPU mount. So because of that, that's the only awkward bend. And the rest of the tubes, they either use a straight fitting or a 360 offset, like this one, or this one, or this one. So you can either use a 6 mm or a 15 mm 360 degree offset. And the rest of the stuff is like all pretty straight, straight bends. So either 90 degrees or straight tubes. And everything is connected to the rads, the CPU block, the GPU block, the front distro plate, and yeah, that's about it. And there's a drain valve just straight into, I don't know if it's catching on the camera, straight into the bottom there, which is plugged in, which is on the off position. So once we turn it on, we need to ensure that there's a pipe so that we can drain all the liquid. If you don't want to drain it through there, the other option is to drain it through here. So just remove the glass and you can tilt your machine and drain it from there.